It's been a roller coaster year for the city of Joburg. We saw the removal of DA Speaker Vasco da Gama, who was ousted through a motion of no confidence. Mayor Phalatse was also removed in the same way, but was later reinstated by the courts. Opposition parties say the victory will be short-lived as they'll table another motion against her in January. Our reporter Moloko Moloto takes a look at all that's happened in the metro in 2022. Moloko, thanks for joining us in studio. So what's happened so far this year is very much going to inform what happens early in January and throughout the rest of 2023 in the city. Take us through some of those key decisions taken recently.
Hi, Anli. It's been very busy for the residents and also the political leaders in Johannesburg. Of course, we all know that there was no outright winner in 2021 in Johannesburg, so the political parties have had to negotiate and form a coalition government. We saw one that was led by the Democratic Alliance, but it was not easy for them because the opposition led by the African National Congress increased the pressure. We saw the removal of Vasco da Gama, and Vasco da Gama would not have been removed had the DA agreed that it would give that position to one of the smaller parties that were in a coalition with the DA. The DA, even after Vasco da Gama was removed, insisted that it will put its own candidate. It did that. This obviously angered parties such as Action SA, Patriotic Alliance, who were basically giving their support to the DA, and we saw some of the smaller parties such as ATM pulling out of that coalition, and the new speaker in the form of Colleen Makubela from COPE. By the way, COPE only has one position in Johannesburg, and she is now the speaker. She's been holding the turf. We have seen attempts now to take over the mayoral chain. They succeeded, of course, and in removing Phalatse, but Dada Morero, who is the chairperson of the ANC in Johannesburg, only became a mayor for 25 days. The courts reinstated Phalatse. But as you rightly said, the opposition parties are saying the party would be over. In fact, there was another attempt towards the end of the year to remove Phalatse. This time around, they had followed the rules procedurally. So the only problem was that they had to, before they could even vote in that no motion confidence, it turned out that negotiations between the national leadership of the EFF and the provincial leaders of the ANC had not concluded, on the basis that in Ekurhuleni, the mayor there was reinstated off the DA, and you would recall that the EFF has told the ANC that you appoint us as the EFF in Ekurhuleni, we become the government in Ekurhuleni, and then we will give you Johannesburg. So the problem is that they had to wait for that to happen in Ekurhuleni, and you would recall that Ekurhuleni has a rule that says that you can only bring one no motion or no confidence motion in the mayor once in 6 months. So they tried to change that rule, but they failed towards the end of last year, and it meant that they must wait for April. So in as much as the ANC and smaller parties in Johannesburg are saying that come January they're going to push a no confidence motion in Phalatse, they hope that she would be removed, chances are that may not even happen. It may actually even last up to April, because her removal, that is Phalatse, is dependent on the removal of Tanya Campbell in Ekurhuleni. But let's listen to Dada Morero, who is the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, I beg pardon, as he was saying that this is not over, they will surely come back.
I did a lovely 25 days, which was more about outreach programs, meeting with communities to find solutions to their programs. Well, we have taken a view today, once we have received an instructions just around 12, that there's ongoing debates and discussions between the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC and the national leadership of the EFF in terms of consolidation of numbers, and we're therefore instructed that we should withdraw the motion to allow for them to consolidate and conclude the discussion, and we will then give a way forward as to what will happen. Likelihood is that the motion motion will then be retabled in the new year, early next year, so that we can then continue with what we have planned. In essence, we'll still continue with the motion, except that we have parked it for a bit to allow Mayor Phalatse to have a wonderful Christmas this year, so that she can end on a good note with a beautiful Christmas this year.